Good evening and welcome to Only One United, talking Reds in a very sunny Manchester. I almost didn't need to have a light on there on the background. It's that sunny. Joined tonight, obviously, I've got my fabulous co-host still, Maisy. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. As I say, it's this thing called sunlight. It's very strange. Hopefully it'll last a bit longer. And obviously Vix as well. Good to have you back on since I think it's the first time since the Old Trafford game.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Good to be back on.
It's that British thing, yeah. Are you too hot yet? Because that's what happens in it. We moan about the weather and then we get too hot. And then
I've still got a jumper on.
I'm wearing shorts.
Well,
Oh my God.
This is it.
That's brave.
Just show it off now. But yeah, so, this is it. It's positive, isn't it? The sun's out. We're getting light nights. We've now got our 3 cup finals lined up. Villa on Sunday. Obviously, then West Ham at home. And then the big one. I've sort of got Empire Strikes Back music in my head. Done to Emma Hayes on the 8th of May. But yeah, I'll start with you, Maisy. Obviously, how important is it that not only that we beat Aston Villa on Sunday, but we actually make a bit of a statement considering the other 2 teams we've got to play?
Yeah, it is definitely such an important game. Each game, though, is important right till the very end because you need to look at the team around us, all the teams around us. We know that Arsenal, Chelsea aren't going to drop many points. Man City, they're not going to drop many points neither, so we need to be that one step ahead. I know we've got West Ham, we've got Chelsea at the end of the last 2 games of the season, and we've seen that we struggled that little bit against West Ham at their ground because they're quite a physical team, and Chelsea, we know what Chelsea's like. So it's important for me more than anything, as you always touch on, the goal difference, because in such a tight league like the WSL, you sometimes you're having to rely on that little bit of goal difference. So I would absolutely love to try and get as many goals as we can because this is probably, for me, the final opportunity to do that.
No, completely. As you say, I think it's definitely an important thing. Obviously, just to remind everyone, it was a foggy game before Christmas when it was a 5-0 win. And obviously, hello to everyone in the comments. Lanzol as well mentioning here that she already said that we want 5-0. But we delivered 5-0 in December. Is that something you think we can do, Vix, for April?
Yeah, I was reading before. Apparently, Hannah Hampton's a doubt. So I know she has her odd dodgy moments, but she saves them more than not. And Villa have only picked up 1 point at home, and that was the last match. The last win at home was in September.
That's fantastic.
So they've lost 7 times at home this season. And they've never scored a goal against Manchester United.
Now, the last bit feels a bit worries me as a good friend of the show that might say inside voice on the last bit. You might I've been
doing my homework for the preview video, so that's coming out later. But yeah, 27-0 on aggregate.
Right, okay. I thought that was a prediction there. We normally get to that at the end.
Yeah, 27-0. Yeah, no. No, that would be taking the bait, wouldn't it, a bit? But,
well, this is it. I mean, obviously, as you say, Hannah Hampton, she normally has at least 1 howler a game, but she is England number 3 technically, and we've got England number 1. Which is obviously another thing that was announced over the international break, which again just got to build confidence, really, hasn't it, Vix, for Mary going into the game?
Yeah, and to be fair to Mary, I think when she has a settled back 4 in front of her, she's fine, and I think she's been a lot more confident with her kicking this season. As a keeper, I do think each season she is working hard to improve, and as she stated before. For goalkeepers, at one point, they never used to have full-time coaches, did they?
Yeah.
So there's, for her, it's probably like, oh, great, I can go in and improve again this season. So to be honest, I don't think she'll have much to do. Touch wood.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Yeah, this is it. Obviously, Wardy, mentioned, Carla Ward is kind of a one that we have a bit of a history with in a good way. Obviously, she was essentially running our nursery at Sheffield United for a while when we sort of transferred a few over there. And as Nat's mentioned here, she made reference to the Villa podcast that she was on. I'm sure it is mutual. Obviously, looking at Villa, as Vix alluded to there, they're sort of in the sort of lower bottom half of the table, kind of really in no person's land, really, with nothing really to play for as such. But I mean, do you see them as a threat, or is it more, Maisy, that we need to just eke as many goals as we can out of them?
I don't like to sound rude, but no, I don't really see them as a threat. I just look at and think their defense is quite open for me. They leak a lot of goals through. The forwards for me aren't that good either. You don't see them scoring many goals. I can't name a high scoring game really from Aston Villa this season, and I haven't seen a game where they've done so they've had loads of clean sheets in a row. So I just feel like for me, Aston Villa, they're just one of them where it's like they just linger around. They're all right, but maybe one day they'll get out the WSL. Who knows? But I think if they have the right people in the Championship coming up, they could potentially go down. That's how I think it is, and they need, I'd say, in my opinion, a little bit more investment in the players that they do have. Because if they do put that bit of investment in, they could potentially be a much better team. But in terms of Aston Villa, we do need to go out for it, and we need to try and take the advantage what we can, because we all know. I even said Everton's got a bit of a leaky defence for me as well. We managed to score 3 goals, but we conceded 1. But this time we need to be a lot more careful in terms of the defence. I know there's some players who's coming back this time, so hopefully the goal difference, it won't go down as well as going up.
Well, this is it, and I think for me, that is a worry. The 2 words that seem to be out of the lexicon, that missing in Martin Ho and Skinner's language, goal difference. Because I really do see that as the most likely outcome, that it's going to go down to goal difference, especially considering that the City have got to play Leicester and they've got to play Birmingham, and specifically they've got to play Birmingham in the final week of the season, where Birmingham will be dead and buried by then. So it depends whether or not you think, a team who can completely out of it, maybe they will just go hell for leather and nick a goal against City, or whether or not they're just, as I say, I think a team like City can rattle the goals up. They know what they want to do. For me personally, as I say, I think it's more about goal difference on Sunday, Vix. What do you think? Do you think they must be considering it, mustn't they?
Yeah, no.
Mentioned it.
What I always think is, and it's like me at work. What I'll say and what I mean are 2 different things.
It does sound like Skinner, actually.
Yeah. No, but if you think about it, you're not going to go, oh yeah, we need to score loads of goals, and because that just puts a lot more pressure on the players, doesn't it? Because someone will go, oh well, Martin Ho said they need to score loads of goals and they've only scored 2. He's right in that. First and foremost, you have to win.
Yeah.
They do need to win well. I agree with that, but I do think they're not. When you're speaking to the press, the job really is to take the pressure off the players, because obviously we know after Villa, West Ham at home should be fine.
Yeah.
But we've got a game where we've never beaten Chelsea, so they have to manage that as like baby steps, because you're approaching something that you've never done before. We don't know, we can't control what City do, but first and foremost, get ahead to win, and then score as many as you can.
Yeah, no, completely. Obviously, just said again, just looking at some of the messages in the comments. Can't wait to be back at LSV. Yeah, completely. It's funny because obviously we referenced the Old Trafford game was the last one that obviously Vix was on the channel for, and I remember I wondered what my reaction would have been, because I'm just purely a women's fan. But even just being in there, it was oozing history, and like every sort of speck of paint just almost felt like it went inside you. With LSV, you know what? Even though it's a multi-use stadium. It does feel like home, and it is actually quite sad that we've only got one more home game left of the season. But I agree. I think, at the end of the day, if we look at Chelsea now, we're going to fall over against Villa. If we look at West Ham, you've got to look at each stage, and it is three cup finals, isn't it? Obviously, I think, Maisy, with the development of the team, we have two types of United, don't we? We have smash out the gate, bang, bang, bang. We shock them like Brighton away. I believe was quite early on. But then we have second half FC, please God, let's do something. Which, as I say, because of the requirement for momentum, especially after the international break, we've got to have a strong start on Sunday, haven't we, in the first half, I think.
Yeah, we do need to have a strong start in the first half. In a way, you kind of do need to shock the opposition team to show that you're here to put a stance onto that. You do look at some games from Manchester United this season, and you could easily say it's heart attack FC, as people would say, just for the fact like you're thinking it comes to the 20th minute, why have we not scored? Then you're waiting, why have we not scored? Why have we not scored? We have conceded in the last couple of minutes of the game. What are we doing? And then we're just on tiptoes all the time. And in these kind of games, such as Aston Villa, we don't really want to be on them little bit of tiptoes, especially near to the end of the season when we're already on them tiptoes thinking, are we going to get Champions League football? So we've already got that little bit of nervousness there. And I can see with Matt Skinner as well, he's one of them kind of managers who do like to have possession of the ball. He likes to rely on his fullbacks quite a lot. So we need to take that for our advantages, because I think we are going to have a lot of space, and we can use the paciness of our midfielders. And of course, we know Russo is very quick too. So we can use the paciness of our players, and as well as that, we can rely on our fullbacks quite a lot to try and go forward that little bit more.
Yeah, as I say, I think it's so pivotal because it is Villa, and it is a time of the season. It'd be Villa, it'd be a relatively nice experience going down there. You never automatically assume you're going to win a game, but I think it's just it does feel like a bit of a cup final, Vix, doesn't it? And also as well, I might sort of take a few themes from that. Sign the Brun, for example, fantastic pedigree, obviously previously to United. Currently on loan to the end of the season, possibly might end up back at Lyon on paper, but she's been injured and been able to show her worth. Could you suggest that the next 3 games could be her shot window as well to say to United, keep me, or for us to make that decision?
Thing is, what you have to remember as well, it's what they see in training as well with her and how they think she might fit in the long term. In the women's game, I can understand why Casey didn't like the January window, because you've got so few games, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I look at like Harder, her first season at Chelsea, she wasn't that great, but you must look behind the scenes and think, yeah, this player fits in the environment with the players, and can fit in the formation. So they'll have seen a lot more than we have. Obviously, we haven't seen very much. And, he didn't mention her today. So even though she's been in the training picture, so I don't know about Sunday. But I would like to think she can make a contribution. When I've seen her, I always seem to run into her, me and Karen. Like, I've got a quad injury. You get more off the players direct than the press conference. She's going, but I really want to help the girls. I really, I'm frustrated. And she's the sort of player you need for Chelsea away to come on and go, right, boom.
Do you think?
Catch them by surprise.
Do you think that's an example of what you're saying about a manager not giving much away? Do you think maybe she is going to be fit? He just doesn't want to give the hint that she's going.
It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me, because we know how many shocks we have when we look at the lineups, and you're like, oh my God, we're such a body. That they never mentioned that at all. When Diane didn't make the Old Trafford game, I think she actually told people before. She just was going, oh, I'm not playing, and everyone's going, oh, and lo and behold, not playing. But I understand why they do it. But on the other hand, I think it doesn't set us up as supporters well for the match. to support them because we're in the state of shock.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I say, I think, we've had a long wait, like we always do in the women's game now, really, after the international break and obviously the FA Cup weekend last weekend. I think we're all going to be, it's a Sunday night kickoff, got the whole weekend. We've kind of got used to these sort of like, they only seem to put a midday kickoff and they want to get up in the middle of the night, which is what's going to happen for the 8th of May. You say February, 8th of May. But no, I think obviously, Diane, as you say, I mean, there's a good question here as well from Lansel. I'll sort of, again, open it up for both, I think. With Diane back, does she go straight back into the lineup or do we stick with Ladd at centre-back? So it depends on what you want to do in midfield, doesn't it, as well?
Mm-hmm.
I keep Hayley in.
Right.
I do the opposite, to be honest. I think we need a proper natural defensive midfielder for me, and I feel like them games where we have seen Hayley Ladd in the midfield is where we have truly dominated the games. Like you look at Brighton when Hayley Ladd and Bo Risa came in, same again for Aston Villa, and it just feels like a whole lot more balanced when you do have Hayley Ladd in there. It just feels like she's just the rock, and we've seen that Maria and Diane have worked very, very well together. Yeah. Fair enough, he doesn't want to play the full 90 with Diane. You could put Hayley Ladd back into the centre back, and I don't think that would bother me as much if we've got so many goals up. It wouldn't really mind that, and we can perhaps maybe whoever we want to do put in as a substitute. But the only issue is if we of course put Hayley Ladd in the midfield, who gets dropped?
Well, yeah, but also, would you not consider dropping Maria and trying Hayley and Diane? It's a bit more assured. To me, Hayley Ladd just gives me a lot more comfort on the ball. I think Maria does a lot of good things, but then there's always and particularly with Chelsea coming up, the last few games against Chelsea, I don't know if it's because it's her ex-team, but it's like deer in the headlights. Would you not try and maybe try Diane with Hayley Ladd?
Could be a good shout.
Yeah, I was going to say what you think about that. I mean, for me, I think another consideration would be if I'm a bit more sort of matter of fact with these things. Like I am kind of, we've had a Tano on last week, and he was a lot more. I think he's a bit more cuddly than I am sometimes, but I would say, you've got 3 Met games left. Republic of Ireland aren't in the Euros, so she can have a rest in summer. So we can use Diane, quite heavily if she's fit and stays fit. But obviously she's coming back from an injury, and I agree with Vix. Maybe continuity might be a good idea to have Hayley Ladd in defence, but I also see where you're coming from. Maisy as well. I think it'd be awkward because obviously she plays for Norway, Maria, doesn't she? To be benched for a player that technically doesn't really have centre back as their main position. I know she does do it for Wales, but obviously, you were saying about confidence in midfield. So if you put Hayley Ladd in defence, are you having Bo Risa on in midfield?
I'd love to have Bo Risa on in the midfield. I feel like when Bo Risa plays, you see, I love the creative side. I think her creatively, it's kind of different compared to the other midfielders we have of Zelem, Groenen, Toone. I really like her as a player, to be honest. But I feel like if we do play both Bo Risa and Hayley Ladd, could it be a good idea to do the kind of thing what we did for Brighton and Aston Villa, where we proper stacked on the midfield, put the 5 midfielders on, so it's the best of both worlds there. So we can play Bo Risa, we can play Hayley Ladd, Zelem, and Groenen. So all of them have all a great experience in playing against Aston Villa.
That's a good shout, because then I haven't really got the skills to take the balls off us, so we are going to have a bit longer time on the ball, aren't we? Obviously, about confidence, though, one of the things I've noticed that certainly in the last game, Jackie was shooting a lot more. I know, obviously, we talk about, is Jackie's ever going to score? But, I mean, do you think there's been a bit of a sea change with her, because she seems to be seeing herself a bit more of an attacking threat in the last few games? Obviously, she scored Vix for Holland. Will we get that goal soon?
I don't see why. I mean, with me, the thing with the Jackie goal thing is more of a laugh, because I just think to myself, she works so hard and does so much at the the graft in midfield. You know, where we call the system, we don't call that. I don't expect her to carry the midfield and score all the goals. You know, but
that's reason to score all the goals.
No, but you know what I mean. It depends. It's people creating that space for, you know, because the sort of signature strike she does for Holland is at the edge of the box, and if you notice on free kicks and stuff, she, you know, in corners, she does position herself there for that. But like, for me, it's not the end of the world. You know, if she did this amazing ball over the top at Old Trafford, and I think it was Russo who I can't remember if it was Russo or Thomas who should have got on the end of it, but it just like dropped out the air. But you know what I mean? Like, Jackie to me does so much that if she never scores a goal, it doesn't bother me.
No, it's true. To be honest, but it's really hard to explain to people because, especially in the midfield position, you're used to the people who play midfield scoring at least occasionally. And obviously,
but I just then think, what do they want to do as well? You know, clean up and wash all the kits as well.
Well,
give the girl a break.
Anna's a defender, and you'd say obviously that's a position where you're least expected to score, and she's scored quite a few this season in a way, if you think about it.
But I think it's easier for a fullback now to score.
Yeah.
Because they're running onto it. If you're centrally and you've got a congested midfield, where United have always had trouble, I think, over the last few seasons I've been watching closely. There's always a bit of a disconnect between the midfield and attack. So, to me, Jackie always seems to have to be everywhere, and you're like, oh, there she is again. Oh, there she is again. And you know, to a point, we don't quite have the balance a lot of the time. Yeah. But I do think she works really well with Toone. They do some nice little interchanges between them.
Who does score a lot, as you know.
So I don't know. It's about partnerships, isn't it? But yeah, orange in our kits might be a good idea.
I mean, I think that was one of the examples. For that. I think that was one of the examples where, you know, it started as a joke for me. But I think I'm not a million miles away from doing a petition. I think we need an orange kit. We've had so many random kits in the past. I mean, obviously, Maisy and yourself, with both being men's fans, you'll be able to think about a few more examples. Even I remember the famous grey kit that got changed at half time because it was deemed as bad luck. I think they changed the rules after that, so it actually can't happen again. So it's a nice little bit of trivia there. But obviously, we touched on Jackie, and so I have to mention the quote of Martin Ho. Emma Sanders was reporting today when asked about to clarify the contract situation at Man United. Jackie is again part of the football club and under contract. I thought she was playing for free, mate. So I'll be good. She's a big part of the plans of the club moving forward. She's influential in the game she plays. We work hard behind the scenes now to make sure we keep the players you want to keep in the club. We continue to do that and work hard behind the scenes so that we can develop the squad and add to that when we need to. So obviously I'll start with you, Maisy. Can you speak Martin Ho? Can you translate that for me?
It sounds like I'm very hopeful that Jackie's going to sign a contract extension. I'm hoping that's what he's saying, but I think that Jackie, for me, especially for getting to the Champions League, she would be key for that because she's one of them players who she can fit into anything what you ask her to do. If you go into the FA Cup and you're playing a tier 3 team, for instance, you fit into that. She'd get dug in, just like if she got into playing abroad in the Champions League, and she was playing, I don't know, Bayern Munich, for instance. She'd even get stuck in for that. There's never that many games for me where Jackie is out of touch or she's out of form, because just as Vix has said, yes, she doesn't score that many goals, but it's not always about the goals and an assist to define a player. It's about what they do on the pitch, how they control the play, and Jackie's just a lot more than just stats, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and I think it's something that people can miss out with. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't want to be too negative on it. When I first read that, it reminded me of, I have great confidence in the manager the day before they sacked them, or like, you know, all I'm focusing on is the next game or something like that. And I would say that either it's not been decided yet, or she's kind of still keeping them in flux a little bit, and they're working on it. Because I mean, the big clue for me on that was when he mentions that she's under contract, which is literally stating the obvious. So and there wasn't really much talk about the future apart from bringing players in. Am I being a bit negative, Vix? I mean, are you thinking it's
I think everyone's being really negative today. I'm just getting on my nerves, to be honest. Because they've all got options. I've been following Manchester United for like 3/4 of my life, and I'm really old. And these options that they do, and they have done it in the past with Toone and Millie. They activate the option, you know, for the next season, and then before it gets to Christmas, they, you know, when September, October time, they announce a new deal. So to me, I feel anyone who's got an option's probably had that year activated. And I think earlier in the year, Jackie did a Dutch interview, and it basically it's never been announced like publicly by the club what she signed, but she intimated that it was a 3-year plus one option. So next year would be the option. So the club, it was going round and round about on the other week, but the club exercises the option. The player doesn't have the choice. Look at Paul Pogba. He had an option and wanted to go, but the club exercised the option and they've kept him for a year. Yeah. So you're telling me they're not going to do that to the women like they've done the men who are earning a lot more money?
You would hope
That's
so.
What we do. That's Manchester United. That's the way they work. But I also have a feeling that they might have exercised the options with the view that they'll have a head of football for the women's team in place for next season, who will then take a longer term view as to pick whether people stay beyond next season or not.
Yeah.
No, because in women's football, Mark Skinner isn't the manager, he's the head coach. He isn't the manager of the team, which is totally different. So any recruitment that is done is not Mark's going to go, oh, well, I want that player, I'm buying that player, I'm signing that player. And it'll be similar to the men, the new setup by a committee. So they're not going to say, oh, Jackie, have a lifetime contract when they've got someone who's going to come in and oversee the women's teams and all the devs. Because in 12 months' time, they may go, actually, we've got someone lined up who's better than Jackie.
Yeah, no, I understand.
We think, because I think they'll ultimately change the way we play when the head of football comes in. Because all the development teams play 4-3-3 and we play this stupid sitting back crap.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't, that to me is just a load of random numbers that people put together. But to me, it's just.
Yeah, go on, do that again, Maisy. What was it again? What did we do?
4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pin for your mobile phone, doesn't it? It doesn't really sound like
5-4-3-2-1.
Yeah, no, it's true. I suppose maybe people think Skinner has more of a touch on it than he does, because it seems to be that everybody who's been within 50 miles of him when he was Birmingham manager at least is on his radar as a possible transfer target, which seems to be a thing that he's been doing. But hopefully that isn't the case. But no, I think true. I think it's an interesting one because we've struggled all season, haven't we, Maisy, as well, to try and understand the position of Katie Zelem. I mean, we've had sort of like 5 stages of grief in relation to her being always on the pitch. She's been fantastic with some great goals, with the corner goals. She's been strong on free kicks, but arguably she could have done with being rested for a couple of games, like they did with Leah Galton, to get her form back. And look, now Leah's on fire. And I noticed there has been some people that say, does Jackie fit in with the way Mark wants to play? But I would say I'd rather change the way we want to play than get rid of Jackie. I know what your view on it would be.
For me, when you have a brilliant player, you've got to build around that player. In my opinion, it's the 4-2-3-1 doesn't work. I I really think that, as we've touched on, a 4-3-3, that is what the champions use. You look at the teams who win trophies, who win leagues, who win Champions League, blah, 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 blah. They don't use this 4-2-3-1. It's very rare when a 4-2-3-1 team wins trophies. Like, you look at, I'm going to name an example, Bayern Munich for the men's. They use a 4-2-3-1, and that's very rare. And all the rest of them, you look at, for instance, I know that Chelsea's changed the formation a little bit this season, because of their injuries. But beforehand, they was using a 4-3-3, and they was champions. They was dominating games. But I know they've been playing a bit more of a three at the back. It's just depending on what is best for the team. And I think in terms of Jacka, she is much better playing in that 4-3-3 when she's got a CDM next to her, and then she can play either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. You look at it, and I always say, if a player is playing out of position, they're not always going to look like the best player on the pitch. They're not always going to do the abilities and the skills what you have seen in the past. And that is just the only problem for me. Maybe the 4-2-3-1, it might get changed to a 4-3-3 eventually when Mark decides what he wants to do with the team, because it's still his first year. Maybe he's experimenting them parts. But I even look at it in terms of Katie Zelem. I think even she would be better in that 4-3-3 formation as well, because a lot of these games, because Hayley Ladd has not played every single game, and you're seeing Katie Zelem being played out of position for most of the season, actually, being played as a defensive midfielder when you know she's a box-to-box midfielder, and you know that and she's played as a centre-back. So you always know that a player isn't always going to look amazingly what you've seen in the past when they're not in that right position for me. So I think perhaps maybe, especially having this head of development for the women's team, it's going to really help Matt Skinner, and a bit more advice for him, because even though he's got experience at Orlando and Birmingham, he's still quite a young manager. He's still got quite a lot of years ahead. And I think having, I'd say someone of head of development who knows the game, who's probably even played the game before, just so they can say to Mark, this hasn't worked. This is what you should do. You should build your team around this player.
Nat got the job.
Sounds like Nat.
Yeah.
Nat can be head of development if she likes.
I think to be honest, she might be able to. But no, I agree. I mean, I think, we touched on the devs, and I think obviously Vix and I have seen them. Hopefully, Maisy will have a chance to as well at some point. They do play a very attacking football, which anyone who knows me loves that 4-3-3. I love the formation. It's not only the most successful in women's football, it's the most common with the most strikers. And I love forwards. I love to see attacking football. That's the way I'm wired. I'd rather not watch a boring 0-0 with a nick at the end goal. I'd rather have, if you had to, I'd rather have a 4-3. Not on Sunday, Mark. Just talking theoretical, okay? But I'd rather watch a 4-3 match than a 1-0 win, for example. It's just the way I'm wired. So obviously, Vix, do you think that the reason why he's not changed it is Skinnerball, or do you think it's more that he's set up for the fact we didn't have any attackers before the winter break, and he hasn't really amended it yet?
That is his formation. That's what he played at Orlando. That was what was reported, when he joined. The emphasis on the fullbacks for width and everything. But this is where I'm very curious as to what's going to happen with this head of football. Because if you're a team like Manchester United and you've got all the development teams from being like under 10 through to under 21s playing 4-3-3, and the first team's not playing the same formation, it doesn't work, does it? And you're not going to change all the development teams to that. Yeah. Because, as we've said, 4-3-3 is the most successful formation for a reason. And that, look at Barcelona, they don't sit back and defend, do they? They just attack. So you have to defend if you attack.
So if this is Skinner's formation, then, if it's his signature, then they must have known it when they hired him. So what do you think the thought process was?
I don't think there was a thought process.
It was just available. He'll take the money.
It was available. I think he did panic. I think there was talk that they were talking to a few people, and then the guy who's managing Scotland, what's he called?
Oh,
Pedro Losa, is it?
right.
I think he was linked quite heavily, but then got the job in Scotland. But by all accounts, he's not the best man manager anyway. So I think, like with Mark, obviously he's come in, he's steadied the ship. Yeah. But it's just whether if you look at the teams at the top, they score a hell of a lot more goals than we do.
Yeah, 100%.
And that is the big thing. That is the big difference.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
No, this is the thing. I mean, maybe Maisy might jump in on this as well, but like, this is the thing. The odd time we have been ahead, all right, we beat Villa 5-0 before Christmas. I haven't got the impression. You watch Barcelona because they are the yardstick. They will literally make you cry. They were happy to score if you let them 20-0. They do not, no mercy, and I absolutely adore them for it. And I do think sometimes, I think of Reading where, Mark, when he had his little car park rendezvous with Nat, said that, that he wanted to see the game out and gave an excuse about the height of Reading and the height of their players and us being a bit shorter. But for me, I can't remember a time thinking, wow, good job that whistle went because we were really hammering them in. It sounds like he has a set goal he wants to get to, and then he kind of parks the bus. Maybe in a Van Gaal way, I don't know, but he parks the bus and doesn't really and tries to keep it, and that's when we can come unstuck, isn't it? I mean, I really want I want people crying on the opposition benches. I want I want it to be embarrassing.
But the devs do that.
Yeah.
I did an edit of Carrie Jones. One's going, oh, it's like the match highlights, and I'm like, no, I cut it down to half. That was how many opportunities were created. Like wave, where we talked about a red wave. That's
God, do you remember that? That went away, didn't it? God, when did that go away by? Was it November?
But the devs, it's like, right, keep going, get it into the box. If it doesn't go in, back again, and it's just constant. Until these devs, I mean, who was it they beat? West Ham not so long ago. They beat them 14-1. And stupid things like that. But they keep going.
Yeah.
And Charlotte Healy is the sort of coach that she just demands it. They were 4-0 up, weren't they, against Manchester City devs by half time.
Well,
it's like, we saw that and you're like, bloody hell, they've got like ice running through the veins, these kids. And the girl who scored a hat-trick was 16.
Well, yeah, Megan Schofield, fantastic player. Looks like she's got, looks like she's been at that level for a long, long time, and she's just broken through. But yeah, Maisy, obviously one of the topics, as we've sort of started already talking about it, on the fans topic that sort of as a joint win was in Skinner we trust. Do you think he can get us Champions League?
If he puts his mind to it, yes. We can get Champions League football.
Sounds like a skill report.
Yeah,
it is a bit.
You need to be better, Mark. Stop daydreaming, looking out the window. You can imagine it, can't you? Like, pulling daisies or whatever.
Yeah. We need to, how I can say, in terms of Aston Villa, we need to be how we did the first time round. In terms of West Ham, I think we need to be a little bit more attacking for me, because I know there was a few injuries, but there was some chances what I think we could have done a lot better on. And I've been noticing that a lot more in the second half of the season, where you're looking at clear chances and you're thinking, how have this person not scored? And in that kind of respect, you don't really see where on the sidelines, like, what you're doing kind of thing. You don't see that frustration for me. And I think if you're showing that little bit more frustration, I think it helps. It just motivates the players that little bit more to think, right, next time I'll do that a little bit better, because you see all the best coaches in the world, they're not satisfied even if you win 10-0. They'll say, well, yeah, we won 10-0, but we still could have done better. Like, you look at, I know this, you probably don't like this example, but look at Emma Hayes in the respect that...
Look, I'm getting a rep here, right? I have nothing personal against Emma Hayes.
No, I know none of us are going to like it, but I think it was like 3 or 5-0, they won. She even said, well, we could have scored a few more. And that is what you need to, as a world-class manager who wants to go far with their team. That is what they need to do. And I just don't think, I think when we just have that win, Mark Skinner's just happy. I don't think it has in his mind to think, okay, we scored 3, but really we should have scored 5. And that's the kind of thing for me. And I think that helps for me massively in terms of Champions League football. We need to push and push and push more. And I think Chelsea's going to be a difficult game. I know we'll touch on that in a little bit in the future when it comes to it, but we need to, for me, be a bit like how we did with Arsenal in the first half, dominate their midfield. We know they've got injuries now, so we need to think, okay, no Frank Kerber? All right, fine, kind of thing. And we need to have that mindset in our heads and think, well, our midfield is just as good as their midfield, so we'll just dominate that around. And that is the part of me where I think we need Hayley Ladd in the midfield for them kind of games like Chelsea.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we'll have a summer, we'll have a Euros where players can shine, and we can see, and hopefully, even if we don't get Champions League, we would still be an attractive proposition for a player to come to get it next season or something like that. I mean, obviously, linked to what we've both been saying, really, isn't it? If memory serves me right, I'm sure Vix, you'll correct me if wrong. Was Skinner a 2-year contract that he signed?
Yeah, I think his was a 2-year with an
option. To say. So are we going to get a different Mark Skinner next year when he's got to play for his dinner a little bit?
The thing is, in fairness to him, I'll be honest, going into that Brighton game, I was thinking if we lose that game away, he's not going to make it to Christmas. He's going to be in the oven like turkey because they lost the confidence, didn't they?
Yeah.
That Leicester game at home was the rock bottom for me.
Yeah,
because they were like the men in that you just were like, you're just jogging about. What's wrong with you? Why? What the hell is wrong with you? But to be fair to him, he came back different. I think obviously it's a very different league. It doesn't matter NWSL whether you win or you lose. It's just like, it's just another game, isn't it? You win the league and you get this little tin pot trophy. You don't actually get into the Champions League or anything, which is prestigious. I think they get like a little plate if they win the Challenge Cup or something crap like that. But to have to transition your mindset from that to, I'm in a side that wants to get into the Champions League and I'm competing against top teams like Arsenal, Chelsea and City who've been around, been like the top 3 since the start. That is a hell of a mindset shift that you have to do. Well, so he did, he was doing really well. When we beat Arsenal in the Conti Cup, you thought that we cracked it, and then injuries.
Which you could say was always going to be on the cards because of how thin our squad is. But we seem to have, touch wood anyway, been able to stabilise it a little bit compared to last season. I believe one of the sort of fitness coaches has moved to City, and that could be a reason why they've had a lot of injuries this year. But I think really, at the end of the day, it's funny, isn't it? Because we can get it. We can score 3-0, 4-0 against Villa. We could probably do the same against West Ham in the same way. And we could win Chelsea 1-0. And we could get Champions League. And then suddenly, if you've got a little time machine and we chat into ourselves in August, you go, yeah, Skinner's going to get you Champions League for place. You're like, really? And it would just be a completely different turn of events. And technically, if we ended up in 4th on goal difference, that's technically an improvement from last season where we were 1 point behind Arsenal. That we're in the 3rd position there. So it is really sometimes hard to see it as fans, isn't it? But it just feels so close, doesn't it, Maisy, that, if you can get Champions League, not only maybe we could stabilise some of our top players, we could attract others as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you are in, as people say, Champions League is the best league in the world in terms of cup competition. And when you're in that league, a lot of players are going to want to be attracted to that because you see so many good players who think, wow, they look at Manchester United anyway and think this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. The history of Manchester United is incredible. And look, they're in Champions League football. I want to play abroad. I want to play with the top dogs. And I think Champions League especially, as well as the club what we're at, it really speaks levels for some players because you're going to have some players who are already in the Champions League who are probably got their contracts up in the summer. And some of these players we could look at going forward too. I know there's some players in Spain, there's some players in Germany, and I think if we are going to go for Champions League football, I think it'd be a good idea to have someone who has got European experience.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these players, they don't really have that European experience. The players who we really have, who have been there, they haven't won too much trophies. So we kind of need someone who, as I would say, a bit of, not, I would say winning mentality, but someone who is a bit of a serial winner. You know that you look at that player and think, you've seen that player there? Like, that player, she has been in the final of the Champions League. She has won the treble. She's done this here. She was shortlisted for best player of the year. You kind of want that kind of player in your club. And I think when you have that player in the team, it sparks up momentum and mentality overall for me.
Yeah, completely. And I think also, we have a chance of a real positive thing happening next year. We've got a fantastic development team. I would say one of the best in the country anyway. We've also got a fantastic youth setup in the sense of in our first team. If you look at Fuso and how old she actually is, until recently, Toone could have played for the Devs in age. Carrie Jones is only going to get older and better. We could end up with two great things happening at the same time. As you say, some of those top named players coming in and bolstering our squad, and some of our youth, like Toone has, who came in essentially as a youth / squad player initially when it started in 2018, and is now an England starter, first name on the team sheet kind of position. And I reckon, definitely next season we could have another, this season was definitely the arrival of Ella Toone and possibly the full arrival of Alicia Russo. Next year it could be the arrival of Carrie Jones or something like that. So I just hope that we can capitalise, as you say, on the mixture between youth and the ability to attract people in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that we do need to do that at Manchester United, because we always say youth, courage,
success.
See,
just like the real United, you forgot. That's the problem.
I know. I was there thinking of that.
Youth, courage. What was the thing we're meant to do?
Something that I haven't thought about for a while. Being a Manchester United fan.
9 years since the league.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. But I mean, so I suppose that is close to going to get to a bit of a positive. Really, we've got a lot of quality, and I think personally, obviously in summer there's not many, but there's a couple of players that need to get moved on. And then when they move on, we've got a chance to really build, hopefully. And I mean, if we do get Champions League, obviously, and we get to, I think, the bit where the bit that City got to, the home and away bit, not the round one weird tournament Europe,
like the qualifier.
Yeah, then we avoid having to go up to Durham in the middle of October because you get a bye to the quarterfinals, to the quarters. So it could open up more doors for us as well, couldn't it? Go for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely could do.
But I think obviously it's funny because it's like we've got 3 games left. It feels like it's going to go so quickly, and and we don't want it to be 3 games left. But also after 3 games, we've got a month? Well, really only a month when you think of it before the friendly start, and then the Euros, where definitely in the sense of me and Vix, we're just not at home. We just might as well just say out to lunch for the whole of July to the end of the month, really. In relation to international Reds, then obviously at the minute for the Lionesses, Vix, you've got Katie Zelem, randomly, Marriott, Alicia Russo, Ella Toone in position for the Lionesses. Are there any others that you think could make a late shout to get Serena Wegman's attention?
No, Serena's made her mind up. That's done. I think. And to be fair, you want some people to stay at home.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's the whole United.
We need some for pre-season. But yeah, I mean,
we need someone left.
The thing is, Hannah Blundell was doing great, but post-Christmas, she had COVID, didn't she? And I don't think she's been quite the same since. So, I mean, and before Christmas, I would have thought she would have got a chance, but I don't think she's been as good after Christmas. So yeah.
You got that there contracting coming, hopefully. Des for pre-season. To be honest, Des some of the
I mean, looking at I was laughing at some of our devs compared to the Everton devs. They look like they've been on bloody spinach diet, like the Popeye diet.
I mean, I'm not being cruel here at all. It was just all I could see. There's one, Maisy, obviously you weren't there, but there's one where literally she was actually probably their best player, Everton, but she literally looked like a child. And the one who she was playing against, the United player, looked like a woman. It was literally like a massive difference between the two.
And some of our devs are taller and stronger, I think, physically than some of our first team. They're quite like they're like you say. You look at them and you think some of them were first teamers.
Yeah,
I mean, strong, quick, and the thing is, I like the fact that Charlotte Healy's involved with the first team now. So she's going to smooth that transition for the ones that are ready. Because, Kira Barry was in the Reading squad, as was Niamh Murphy. And Kira Barry's only 17 in June. But when you see her, you're like, I swear to God, on Sunday, I thought, God, she's grown even since Reading. I felt like, like an ant. Like, oh, haven't you grown?
Proud ant. Oh, look how you've grown. Score me a goal. But she looks like, and she actually, as a side issue, actually looks like she's related to Katie Zelem. They almost look like a younger version of each other. I mean, I think, that's definitely the case. I mean, obviously, Maisy, I'll ask the same question of you as you. I probably do agree with Vix, if I'm honest. Is there anyone, maybe then I'll change it slightly, who you think should get Weigmann's attention?
If you're looking at the Manchester United squad in particular, I would have called for Mannion if she never got her injury. She would have been definitely one for me who deserved that England lineup. She was brilliant all season, apart from when she got her injury, and it's just a shame that she has picked up that ACL. And the way Leah Galton is on form right now, even she could deserve that England lineup. But I do agree with Vix that at this moment in time, I don't think Serena will pick anyone. I think she's quite happy with the squad. I think she won't make many changes at all anyway, in general, maybe apart from Steph Horton. But
I knew you were going to say that. I was trying to avoid it.
I just thought I'd just pull that in there. But apart from
triggering me, I'm triggered.
Apart from that, I actually don't think there is going to be many changes. I feel like she's picking the same people now. It's quite consistent.
This is what I love about it. To be honest, this is what I love about it. And this is why I think, Skinner should be there with a little notepad writing it down, because she plays to win, and she plays to have the strongest squad she can. There's no sort of elderly farewell tours going on. There's nobody that she's carrying. Every member in that squad is there for a reason and for a clear purpose. Whereas, and I think, to be honest, that's what we need to do, is we just sort of like linking them all together. We can't carry anybody anymore. We can't have anybody at all. We should be gutted if anybody leaves in the future. And I think we're just completing that transition from obviously a squad that was originally designed for the Championship to a squad then now that's going to be top part of the WSL, obviously even higher, hopefully into the Champions League. I want to be a bit cheeky as well. I only mention it because I remember that obviously Mark Skinner was originally Birmingham's development academy coach. Was I think one of his first positions that he got before he became Birmingham's first team manager. Do you think Charlotte Healy could get the big job at some point?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, the way she is, like, I think it was 2019 that said it set up properly. If you think about it, you've got all those age groups from probably under 10 to under 21s, and they're all winning.
Yeah.
And, the way she is moulding those players, and the way she the first match I watched was against Chelsea. They were 1-0 up at half time, and then they battered them in the second half and won 4-0. She's that sort of, I think she's got the right mentality, and she's only 30. I'm not saying now, but in women's football, coaches do tend to go through the ranks. It's like the Barcelona coach. He was part of the team before, I forgot what his name is. Before he left, he was part of his team. So he's just literally stepped up.
Charlotte Healy's gone the army, Maisy.
I'd love for it to happen maybe one day, but I think at this moment in time, she needs to get that little bit more experience, and I think having the experience is brilliant in the youth team, and you can tell, and having that little bit of experience and being at the same club, it works a lot of the time as well.
Well, this is it, and as you say, she's put the groundwork in. If you see it as a conveyor belt, like Vix has been alluding to, if she did end up there, then she would end up, with the full history of the club, bleeding the club, because she's developed everybody through. Everyone's going to feel more comfortable because you've dealt with her when she's at different levels. And if Skinner does kick on, at least he's engaging with her, and obviously if he has a background, like as I said, he does, of working in an academy himself, at least he understands what's required to go from devs to first team and bleed people through. I personally would just like him to make substitutions that don't look like he looks like he's failed, because a lot of the time I feel like he thinks that, I think especially with 5 substitutions, it's changed the game. It's now a tactical advantage. People use them tactically. And I think obviously historically it was more, wasn't it, just to keep energy levels up or if someone was injured. And I think sometimes Skinner, he will hold on to things too long before he changes it, because it's almost like he's saying, well, if I change it, I'm basically saying that player should have been in the first team. And obviously that's not the case, is it? Some players are good off the bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, no, it's one of those. It's like we've been waiting so long. We had a great conversation tonight on the devs, on the Euros, on the future, on Skinner, on we're getting sunlight. It's Friday night. It's been a really good show. We just need to make Sunday happen and hopefully happen with a win. So just to sort of square that circle a little bit then. Vix, what's your prediction score wise for Sunday?
6-0.
Oh, that's nice.
I was going to say 7, but I'll say 6.
Maisy?
I'm just going to go for 3-0. And then if we get more, I'll be happy. But if we get 3-0, I'll know my predictions right. But anything more, I'll be excited about.
Oh, now what I was about to go, not as comfortable that I was going to go 3 or 2-0 again. But God, I'll channel Vic's positivity. What is it? We sometimes score 6. So maybe we could just emphasize the word 6 in the next game when hopefully we'll be referring to for Sunday. So 6-0. And then at least we could chant to Carla Ward. Well, yeah, we didn't want 5. We wanted 6. And we got
5, 6, 7, 8. Why not?
There we go. That's definitely the creativity that we know and love. Obviously, and then Chloe there saying finally United. Well, as I say, we've got to take the opportunity. I think we will. But obviously, thanks so much for everybody's time tonight. It's been great having you on, Maisy, as always, and yourself, Vix, and everyone in the comments. And yeah, hopefully it'll go well on Sunday, and we'll be able to see how it goes going forward. Cup final 1. Here we go. Goodbye, everyone.
See you later.